Why do you have two voices? Anywho, Stylescape. A style what? Stylescape. All right. So on the screen, right? You guys can read that. It's a bridge between design thinking and visual design, right? So this lives between two worlds. And you don't have to be a graphic designer to use them. So this is going to be an internal communication tool that's primary role is to gather feedback from the client. So your client. Have you guys been thinking about your stuffed animal? Who they are and what they do, what their backstory is? Anybody? You don't have to tell me what it is.
Yeah,
Just
I
one.
got one.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see them eventually. All right. So, all right. So we're going to use that to get feedback from the client and do not use any part of a stylescape in the final design. Right. This might violate copyright laws. We're going to talk about copyright as well. So when you develop the stylescape, it's you're taking what your client told you about themselves. So last week, we were talking about this musician who makes music for 25 to 30-year-old women who like to dance while they're cooking. All right. If this person had a stylescape, you probably have pictures of kitchens, women dancing. I don't know, any other things in between there. There may be socks if this person likes Tom Cruise. There might be music notes, right? Clips from a music video. Those things might be in that stylescape, but then also things that are going to show that this person is a musician, is a vocalist. So microphones, studio, stages, crowds, all of those things will be part of this stylescape because when you think of your client and what they want to achieve, remember last week we spoke about those A type, B type, and C type goals. Those can be part of your stylescape as well because this is just a visual board that if we had a boardroom at the office, the client came in and they look at it, they should be like, you know what, this looks like me. These are the here. I see all the things that I wanted to do. I see the people that I want to reach out to. Everything makes sense. All right. So the reason we do the stylescape is we are pulling information and inspiration from multiple sources to create the vibe that's needed. Once the client signs off on the vibe, we are on our way. All right. So the big problem is that is for us to go from what people know to something totally new. And that could be really difficult, right? That might have us thinking really, really long. It's like trying to see through a fog and it's there, but it's hard to make out the details. So a lot of people wonder, will I even like this? Or will they actually listen to me? This is the internal dialogue that we're having when we have that client sitting in front of us, and we know that we need to get them to know, like, and trust us, but they just met us for the first time. So that whole process of internal thinking, internal talking, usually leads to a love it or hate it situation, right? It's like we're saying, we know exactly where you need to go, and we don't need your help. So there's a question for you guys, personal experience. I want you to think about a time when you tried something new or different. How did you feel about that unknown situation? Right? Were you excited? Were you scared? Were you both? Did you have any doubts or concerns? And how did those feelings affect your decision to try something new? All right, that's a real question. You can answer in the chat or you can unmute your mic. So think about a time
I
when you
don't
had.
like sorry.
No, I was just going to repeat, but if you got it, it's cool.
I don't like trying new things
Okay.
because then it means I have to change.
Right.
And change is good, but sometimes I just like to be stuck in my own ways. So that
All
sounds
right.
horrible, but it's the truth.
No, knowing is the first step. Knowing is the first step because I mean you're doing this degree now.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else want to come on to Kirk therapy? I cannot hear you, Jamal. Yeah, not hearing you at all. For now, you could type, and we can see if you can get that figured out later. Anybody else got anything to share? Jeez, all right, it working. No, love to see it. Shantia, shout out to you. I'm cutting in and out. So you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. Am I cutting in and out for anyone else, or type of 7 if
No,
you're hearing me clearly?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right.
You can hear me
Yes.
now, Mr. Kirkman?
Yes, I can.
All right. One of the few things that come to mind, one of the first things actually, is back when I was first learning to be an MC. And it's not just like you playing music and you keep your mouth shut. No, you actually have to interact with an audience for the first time and see what people hear, how people respond to you is a full developmental process.
Right.
The first thing that came to my mind is that I was almost speechless, so there was some level of petrifiism. You feel very petrified in the moment. However, I think because of the fact it was a goal, it was something you wanted to accomplish, like you had to break out of that. You had to unpetrify yourself, like if you're in Dr. Stone. And from there, realize that actually, once you start the process and you have a vision in mind, you could actually chart the path. So for me, I think that's just what comes to mind, yes, things will be challenging. So it makes you put it in a stasis you don't want to move. You don't want to take the first step. However, once you do, I find that you find reasons to motivate to go forward. And that's just what comes to mind just now.
All right. Well said. And you said some key words in there that are going to connect to the rest of stuff that I'm going to be saying. Yeah. All right. Let's move on. So, the role of communication, right, is going to be answering this question. So, in the context of an opaque concept, like you're unclear, right? Opaque just means that it's really, really solid. You can't see through it. You don't know what's on the other end. And how important is clear and open communication between the client and the service provider? Client being our musician that does music for 25 to 30-year-olds so they can dance in the kitchen while they are cooking, and us being the artist managers, right? So, can you think of examples where a lack of communication led to a negative outcome, right? And how can effective communication help bridge the gap between the familiar and the new? So, something is going on, right? And at least this could be anything. This is again still life experience. So, can you think of an example where a lack of communication led to a negative outcome? So, between you, somebody else, y'all don't need to spill any tea on this call. It's being recorded, so you might not, you might want to table that part. But lack of communication led to a negative outcome. I'll take two.
All right. One of my first experiences with a situation where we had a lack of communication that led to negative outcome was me and my partner at one time. He was, well, we're brethren of mine, let me use that term. He was trying to start a podcast
Okay.
and I was assisting him. Now, turns out he had got some new recording equipment. So like I think they're called lapel mics, the ones that are wireless and pin on.
Yeah.
And he had something called a transceiver so that he could record in a higher quality and we don't have to worry about actually dealing with the camera audio itself. So I was like, that's a good idea. However, I was saying, one, to test it out, or two, we should just work with the regular lavalier mics, which are the ones with the strings. Um, he thought that we were on the same page. Somehow he did not test the equipment, and we were struggling and struggling and struggling, trying to figure out why it wasn't working when we did try to record the actual podcast. And it took us hours to realize. And I noticed that it was a miscommunication. He gave me the impression he had tested it before, and that's why he wasn't testing it for the first time.
Right.
After thorough diagnosis in three or so hours, we found out one wire was not working. Had a fault,
Mm-hmm.
shortage, and we had to scrap the whole entire video. Try to do it without the actual microphones
Right.
and using the camera audio. It wasn't the best experience. So that's just one thing that comes to mind just now.
All right. Cool. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Lack of communication? Like communication leads to failed friendship or failed project. Come on now. Come on. No context needed. All right, cool. And that's 100%. Like group projects in college. Sheesh. Sheesh. I don't think I have group projects for you guys, so you should be straight. All right, so there's a value to collaboration now. Do you think it's better for a service provider to dictate a vision without input from the client, or to collaborate with the client to develop the shared understanding? What do you think? So we got a
I
service
think I should
provider, there's a client that they're working with. Should they just tell them like, all right, I know you want to do this. This is what you do. Bum, 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 bum. Or should there be some sort of collaboration there, some sort of feedback coming from the client as well?
Of course, there should be collaboration after that. It is required because how else will you know how to suit your next potential customer or person coming after?
Right.
You need the feedback.
Agreed. Anybody disagree? Anybody feel like, you know what? I went to school and I know everything.
I have to agree with Carrie on this one. My reason being that when I do brand development material, my aim is to embody and create communications that meet the expectations of my client. So, for example, even if I think that crafting a message with less words and more messaging that communicates with their brand archetype, I still need to take into consideration what they want, because I might think I know what's best, but they might, at the end of the day, it's up to them. I can only try to pitch what I like or what I think would work for the purposes that they're trying to achieve. But at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is to make sure that you and the client on the same page and that they get what they want, rather than you just tell them, well, listen, I know you were looking at doing this particular archetype, but I think this one would receive well first or better, whatever. I think it's best to try to meet the common ground with them. But if not, at the end of it is their decision, and you try to do what you think makes sense based off of where they're coming from.
All right. Good stuff. Somebody else?
I agree somewhat with what Terry said.
Okay.
But at some point in time, if you are the expert in the area, you're the consultant. Yes, you're going to collaborate with your client to see their vision or whatever, but they came to you for a reason. You are supposed to, after you see what they want or whatever, as Jamal is saying, yes, you can find the common ground, but at the same time, at some point in time, you might have to say, this is what will work and this is not going to work, because you are the specialist in the area. So it goes both ways. They're
100%.
paying you because at the end of the day, your reputation is still on the line as well. Because if they put something out there that is not, then you're the person who created that.
Right.
So at some point in time, you are the specialist in the area, and you might have to say, yes, this is what will work and this is what wouldn't work.
I like it. Yeah. Sometimes you got to put your foot down. It's like, listen. If this was a medical condition, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'm just saying. I went to school. I studied. You know what I mean? I've been in touch with other people for a reason. So yeah, there is going to be a delicate balance between the two. You do need their feedback so that, you know what I mean, you're not coming with a cookie cutter idea. Like the fellas on the line, I don't know if you ever went to a barber that cuts everyone's hair the same way. You know what I mean? You just come and just be like, yeah, this part of the hairline, that can be 3 centimeters. Like, and just cutting everybody's hair regardless of how the hair actually going. Ladies, I don't have an example with hair for you guys, for y'all, but you understand what I'm saying, right? You walk, you know what it is? Nails. Like you get a particular set, and this person just feels, you know what, I giving everybody stilettos. I know what thing. I gonna wait with cameras. I gonna nothing for knowing stiletto. Anyway, moving on. But I know there are the different types of nails, but I only know stiletto. Sorry, by name. That's the only one that I know. That's a thing, though, right?
I don't know much either, so
Thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate you, Katrina. Thank you so much.
So
French
yes,
tips
that's
as
it.
well. Come on, right? You come in and said,
It's the shape of the nail.
yes, the shape of the nail,
Oh, wow.
right? So like You didn't tell the person what they want, but as soon as you sit down, they just start filing down. They're like, ma'am, sir, whoever's doing your nails, this is the event. This is what I'm trying to, this is how I want to look. Then you could suggest something to me, right? Same situation with your client. When we figure out what they want in the end, we can work out the in between, all these steps that they need to get there, right? That is our job as a consultant. Our job is not to show up and be like, oh, you look like you want to get skinny, so hold this solution that works for 80% of the population. I don't know if it can work for you, but 80% says that it should. All right, so that's going to help us get that clear vision, right? So instead of seeing this cloudy, dewy, wet windscreen, we're going to wipe it off. We're going to see clearly, all right? And we'll be able to take the client with us with less friction, because maybe we're right sometimes, but we definitely won't be right all the time. So our success depends on understanding our clients' worries, what frustrates them, what they want, and what they're trying to achieve. And then we need to be able to paint a clear picture of where we are going. So you could listen to them, you could have a plan, but if they don't understand the plan, chances are they're not going to execute on the plan. And then we got problems. What do the purple and pink circles mean? It's just color for now. The colors aren't that significant right now. Purple, that's coming from the opaque. This is you not knowing what's going on. Then you're going to have the whole conversation, and that is either going to be that you continue being unclear, which would be yes, or you actually start to understand everything. So that'll be no. All right. And we want to come from here between this point and this point. There is going to be friction, but that friction doesn't need to be terrifying. That friction doesn't need to be bad, right? Getting people to say what they actually want can be difficult. Like, I don't know if y'all ever asked somebody what they want to eat, and so I don't know. Okay, I will go eat and leave you to your devices. All right, so continuous alignment, right? We can't just take a giant leap by ourselves. That is us just taking an idea and just running with it and dragging the client along. All right, so it's more like a bunch of smaller steps taken with our client. So they tell us what they want. We cast a vision and we say, in order to get here, the first thing we need to do is this part, this one thing. You do this one thing, we can go on to the next step, the next step, next step, next step. So here, how it actually goes, a client comes to us, they tell us everything, right? Like we just said, it's like a massive brain dump. Then we disappear into our management cave and come up with a plan we think will work, right? We come back and present it, but it might only be part of what the client needs, right? So this is if we are going through the process without adding in that collaboration part, right? Because you don't want this to happen. As we said a little earlier, we don't want to come up with this one size fit all cookie cutter situation. We want this to be tailored, customized. Reason being, things that are custom, one, they tend to be more expensive. They're more premium, right? Because this is now tailored specifically for you to get a specific result. If I had 10 people in a group and you did something that could work for all 10, it will take those 10 people to a point, but they're going to end up in different places, right? Just because of who they are and what they expect and what they want to achieve and what they're willing to do. So I like using what I learned in the class as teaching points. But Carrie, was it? It wasn't Carrie. I don't think it was Carrie. Carrie, was it you that said you don't like change so much?
Yes, it was me.
All right, cool. So if you have a client that wants to, let's say their C-type goal is, I want to perform with Beyonce at the Grammys. And like, okay, cool. We could work on that goal, you know what I mean? And they're saying, all right, in order for Beyonce to even know you exist, you got to become more visible. You got to become a lot more visible. It's like, but I don't like how I look on camera. Okay. All right. So how will people know you exist? Outside of the people that see you in the moment, how would anybody else know you exist? I mean, they can come to the event. All right, cool. So your idea is you're going to promote all of these events and they're not going to pay you for promotion so that you can get all these people to come to the event to see you perform. Yes. All right, no problem. You might gotta find another manager. All right, so you don't need to be harsh like that, but you can challenge your clients just based on what they say they want. That's why it's really important for our project when we talk about the first thing, which is creating the game plan. When you find out from your client their A type, B type, C type goals, it's so you can always bring up those goals. So if goal A was to write, record, and record the first single, if that is the A type goal, and they're talking about the album cover, all of a sudden you're like, wait, hold on, come on, we can't talk about the album when you haven't finished the single, so let's focus in on the single. All right, and if they're just on this whole thing where they want to do it, but you know, maybe the album gonna dictate how the singles gonna go, like, wait, hold on, come on, we need to start here first. All right, and then you can build from there. Anyway, keep moving. So with this Stylescape, you're going to get them to imagine themselves somewhere amazing, exactly 1 year from today, right? And you could do that too. So imagine yourself somewhere amazing, exactly 1 year from today. We're going to meet up at, somebody give me a restaurant name while I'm talking. We're going to meet up at a restaurant, right? We are going to be Tights.
What the get to jumpers?
I ain't go with Tights, right? We're going to meet up at Tights and we're going to be toasting to something that you guys are really happy about 1 year from today, right? So what is it? Where are you? We're at Tides, right? And this is the process of goal setting. So with the client, we're asking the client the place, or the space that they're going to be in. So again, this is just to support the A type, B type, C type goals that we spoke about earlier, right? So where are you going to be with this A type goal? Where are you going to be with this C type goal? If it's a place type thing, right? What is the activity that you would have just completed? So if it is releasing your first single, then cool. That's the activity that needs to happen. What do you see in this place? Or who is there? Who is seeing you? What are you wearing? All right. You got people that say when they're doing their Grammy acceptance speech that they had this written from 5 years ago. People say that. You might see yourself doing things. Maybe you see yourself managing someone who is popping right now, right? You're seeing yourself working with clients from all over the Caribbean, a few in Europe. You know, you're seeing yourself traveling. You might see yourself on stages speaking to other potential managers, sharing what you would have learned along the way. Cool. What are you saying? Right? What are you thinking? And also, what are you feeling? So, because this is so critical to the projects that we're doing, over the next, I'm going to say 20 minutes, we're going to just start because not 20, 10, we're going to do 10 minutes, right? Think about your client. If you do not have a name for your client, that is okay. If you have multiple names for your client and you can't pick one, write all three, right? You're going to write the 3 names and we are going to go through that process of that game plan assignment, right? Where in your book, first thing that you're going to be doing is describing your client in 3 words. 3. If you can't get to 3 and 5 was easier for you to do, write the 5. 3 is more difficult than 5 sometimes because you got to narrow it down, right? And you might not be able to. I got so many adjectives I could use for my client, but I only want 3. But we can start with 5, right? We can start with 6. We can start with 10. If you have one name, it's going to make it easier because you might have a different vibe for every name. Do you guys remember Do you remember the type of clients that you had available to you?
No.
Do I have that? All right, hold on. Let me pull that up. Let me pull that up. All right, let me pause this recording.
Right, sir.
Sorry.
So, right. So you're saying that we advertise, right? And we dealing with musician, event planner, and public speaker,
Right.
right? Either one we gotta choose.
Right.
And it's, we as managers have to basically coordinate and guide them and assist them how we basically just generally managing them and like how we managing it. So
yeah. So just for the context of this course, you are creating this client who you're going to be managing, right? Normally you don't need to do that, right? Normally the client will come to you and you will ask the questions, but we don't want nobody to ask questions too. So your stuffed animal is your client, and you just need to give them a personality that you're going to develop over the semester.
okay.
All right. So if your client is actually you and you know yourself, you can do one or two things. You could choose to make your client exactly like you, or you give yourself the challenge and it's you, but slightly different. All right. Maybe it's if you could work with if you had your pick of the client, right? Like you could pick anybody to work with. You could create that personality and then we can see how that rolls out, right? They might be, client's name is Tempo Teddy, right? I love an alliteration. Tempo Teddy, he's open-minded, musical, and swaggy. All right. So your Tempo is a musician who is musical and he's swaggy. So I would challenge you to find another word than musical. But is Teddy singing? Does he play an instrument? What does Teddy do? All right, Teddy's a rapper. All right. Yeah. Give me another word besides musical. I mean, you could head over to Google, get a little thesaurus, other words for musical. Cesaria, go ahead.
So I did two. I did a musician and event planner. The musician is myself, but
All
as
right.
a stuffed animal, and I would say resilient, passionate, and elegant.
All right.
And the event planner is sophisticated, entertaining, and then when you got to words.
Okay. You know we're going to end up with one eventually, right?
Okay, no problem. I ain't guess two more.
All right, no problem. I mean, we're going to end up with one client eventually. All right, so Carrie has African singer, sings Afro beats. Plato. Is it Plato or Plato?
It's Plato.
Carrie. Appreciate you. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you too, sir.
All right, so we got a sassy tall, unique dark Rastaman singing Afro beats named Plato. Come on.
Get it, sir. Get it.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like he should be doing some conscious Afro beats. You know what I mean? Like reggae met
That's what I
Afro
hear
beat.
telling me to tell you that it's gonna be a mixture of reggae mixed Afro.
Come on. I saw it. I saw it. With a name like Plato, this man gotta be a philosopher. All right, cool. Yeah, I love some depth. All right, cool. Let me see. Let me get one more and then we're gonna keep it moving. Reggae Afro beats. All right, such an amazing soul. Oh, Kadir. One more. So we got Temple, we got Plato. If the next person ain't any O at all. At all. No more O last name, O name people. Kaz, I'll tell you something. All right. When I rap, my name is Cass. Kas. All right. So thank you for making me. All right. Cass is a musician, talented, aspiring, and passionate. All right. Does Cass play an instrument or does Cass sing, rap, opera? What are we doing? Lux Lane. Lux Lane is an event planner. All right. All right, Katrina, since we got so many musicians in here, I feel like, you know what I mean? We can lean into the event planner. All right. Just so we have some interesting stuff happening in our space. Wedding planner. All right. Different. Singer, all-roader, does a little bit of everything. All right. A one-man K-pop band. Got it. All right. Cool. All right. So we have the name. We have the 3 words that are going to describe our client, right? I'm sure that as we go through the project, this is going to be changing as we go, right? It's going to be changing as we go because you're going to start getting into, let's say you do the photography project and you're thinking, all right, how am I going to show talented, aspiring, passionate? How am I going to show that in photography? Like, all right, cool. So can I show talented? Maybe, right? Maybe there's another word. Yeah. So don't worry about it right now. But when we look back at the projects, you're going to see like, all right, I could find a better descriptive word that's going to give me more range, right? I could do a lot more with it.
Right. Mr. Kirkland, I come up with a name. It was kind of hard because some of the characteristics that I had initially had plans for the name. I see some of the characteristics I had in mind. I see some people using, so I don't want to do the same thing, but I decided that, you know what? You can come across this inside business as well. You can find out somebody have a similar name and so on. So I decided to go with Dark Man.
Dark Man.
And
Okay.
Dark Man. Dark Man's mysterious, young, and versatile.
Mysterious, young, versatile. What does Dark Man do?
Dark Man might become a very like he's an artist that specializes in dancehall at the moment, but I
Okay.
believe that he has taste in other genres as well. So
Hmm.
I can't find the right way to tie it together as at the beginning, but I
Okay.
could find unique ways to implement it in the Stylescape.
Okay. Cool.
Right.
I feel like Dark Man could be interesting with a last name, like Dark Man Cross, just because he could cross over. But I don't know.
Interesting. I'll think about it. Thanks. I
No
like it.
problem. Yeah, the first one free. Every other suggestion, unsolicited suggestion is going to cost you one grade. Kidding. I'm kidding, of course. Maybe. All right. Right. So we have the name, we have the 3 things. Let's now look at the A type, B type, C type goals. All right. A type goal. That is something that your client can, it's easy for them to do, and they can get it done within 30 days. All right. So they came to you for a specific reason. They're trying to reach somewhere. B type goal, this is going to take a little bit more work. They're probably going to need 60 to 90 days to get this done. That is their B type goal. The C type goal, all they have is faith. They don't know how this thing will work out. They just see it when they wake up. Like, I can see myself 5, 10 years down the road with this experience or being in this place or being with these people or anything like that. That is their C type goal. Now, some people are based on who their client is, they're able to go A, B, then C. Other people, they need to start at C and then be like, all right, now that I have C, what is the first step for them? And then what is something in between? All right, but we need to get those A, B, and C type goals. All right, so Lux Lane, if you are an event planner, all right, what is one of the biggest things as an event planner that you think you could see yourself doing? Is it working with a certain production team? Let's say you want to work with a team that puts on not the Grammy, Super Bowl halftime show. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's your C-type goal. Who knows? It could be something else. All right. It could be launching an event that crosses regionally. Can your Stefano have multiple jobs? I mean, I've never had this question before, Santia. So this really depends how much work you want to do. You know, I figure you want my suggestion is let your client have one thing that they do, maybe any backstory, right? When you're telling me the story of your person, then you can say all the things that they do and why they do all of these different jobs. Like maybe in order to fund their musician dreams, they work at advertising agency during the day, and then at night they also work at a bar. You know what I mean? That's just part of the story. And they work at a bar, but the bar also does open mic. So every now and then, your client would then go on stage and perform. So that's how they test music, right? Something like that would kind of make sense for the story. All right, A-type goal. Yes, this is something that they can do within 30 days. So, Michael, if your client is a wedding planner, right, it specializes in wedding events, you can decide, all right, I know these are weddings that I'm doing. So weddings take lots of different forms, whether it is chapel only, chapel and garden, fully garden, beach, destination. You got a lot of things that you can choose, but you can decide when your client comes to you, where are they in their journey? Are they currently right now only doing chapel weddings, right? Where there's not a lot of customization happening. You go to the chapel, you just make sure they got some flowers, centerpieces for the reception. If that's where they're starting, maybe they want to end with, I want to do destination weddings that have, you know what I mean, customized arches and all this other stuff. If that's the case, then A-type goal would be wedding planner. A-type goal might be reaching out to people or starting to create content for social media, because weddings aren't something that happen so often that you will always find a client, especially with a wedding. Like, this is a one-off thing. These people need to trust you. If you have no track record, they're kind of like, I'm not sure if I want you doing my wedding. All right. So you could think of, where do you want your client to be in their process? And then we take it from there.
For my A-type goal for my fair, we can have our audio created and launch and release our music out there. And hopefully within the first 30 days of this, we can be maybe hit the top 5 on iTunes and be trending on IG. Followers start to boost in 30 days.
That was your A-type, all of that?
Yeah, my A-type in 30 days, because if you got a bag and you put it out and people start watching it, within 2 to 3 weeks, people just catch on. And once it hitting, it can go to the top 5 on iTunes, and it will be reposted on Instagram a lot if it's trending, if it's saying catchy. So it's a new genre of music, Caribbean Afro beats. It's unique and attracting people all over because it's different and it catchy and it's a vibe. Remember, he said he's unique. So in 30 days, that's a goal.
All right. I see the vision, right? We might just need to shift what we are measuring so that it is a lot more quantitative, right? So that you can actually see the results. A lot of what you just mentioned is not up to you, right? So your client, they put out the song, and then it's, this stuff needs to happen.
Okay,
Now,
so I as the person that will have to set up the IG, start posting, like create the IG, start posting, get it out there. So I have to do my work to get him out there then. So it just can't get to that. I have to say how I build it to happen to get to there.
yeah. So it's really, because it's a game plan, right? So let's say what you have your client C-type goal.
What is that?
All right. So you have just the A is what you have?
Yes.
All right. So the A type is something easy that they can get done. So if something simple that they can get done. So that he can go, he can write the song, he can record the song. That's very, very easy. But you want to take it a
Okay.
bit further because you want some results out of that. What I'm trying to get to is how you start to get real tangible knowledge of if this song is working. So let him write the song, record the song, and then perform at, let's say there are open mics that happen every week. So like right now, Mahalia's Corner is on, right? And Mahalia's Corner is happening every Sunday for this week. So since it's within 30 days, you could hypothetically say there is an open mic event that's happening. You're going to write the song and you're going to perform it at the open mic. And then you're going to pay attention to the reaction of the crowd. And you as a manager then might just start to, at the event, you're now talking to people at the event to get feedback, right? So your A-type goal will be write the song, perform it at the open mic for the 4 weeks, and then every week you're going to, I don't want to say interview. You can talk to people and get their feedback on the songs. And yeah, you're gonna get feedback.
So write the song, record, have him perform, and I say I will book him for every Friday night in Oasis Beer Garden, just sing and try to get the crowd accustomed to him, and at the end of the month try to get feedback. Well,
Yeah, you
not
could
try to
get,
get feedback.
yeah, at every performance, like while he's on stage, you might be talking to people. It's like, yeah, what you saying? What you saying with this fella here? You know what I mean? So if you introduce, you say that you manage him. Can I record your reaction? Right? I want to give him some feedback. Right? So then you just hear real reactions. Like you're not trying to make them say that he sound good or anything. It's like, what you think about his song? I think it's trash. All right. You just get any feedback. So in 30 days, you're making traction. Right. So from there, you can always take that. And so 60 days, if you fast forward 60 days, 60 to 90 days from there, you now know, all right, if I kept this up for 3 months, I know that we've been performing, we've been getting feedback. He would either keep the song, tweak the song, push things in another direction, whatever. But you might also try to get on some bigger stages. Is there like hotel circuit that could happen? Is there are there any shows that are coming up that you can say like, look, we've been performing, people have been loving the vibe. Can we open up for this person, that person? If not, because it depends on where the person is in their journey. Like, have they been putting out music as yet, or are they now getting started? All right. So all of that will be part of your backstory. Let's see. Yeah, Santia, you're right about that. Viva Entertainment, event planner, launch social media platform to be discovered. Okay, be not sure in 5 to 10 years to be able to host an event similar to, but better than Carry Festa. All right, so I'll take your C-type goal right now, but I want you to get a little more specific with your event. All right, so when you think about what Carry Festa is a regional. It's a regional event. Well, it's an event that travels. So let's say it's a regional event that is hosted by a country in a region that showcases the products, talents, and services of different persons across the Caribbean. So do you want to do something that covers those three things? Do you want to focus on one of them? Right? So just get a little bit more specific on that, right? Because the clearer the vision is, the more you would know exactly how to get the person there. Because imagine that your client actually came in just like, hey, if I did 10 years, I want to be able to host events similar to or better than Carry Festa. What does that mean? So launch social media to be discovered. Let's make that a little more tangible. All right. So in 30 days, you're going to create the page, but like you could tell me what you're going to put on there. This person's an event planner. All right. In your backstory, you can give a think to, has this person been doing events as yet? Like before they came to you, have they been doing events? If yes, great. If no, then you're going to be starting an event based social media page, but you don't have any content, right? You don't have any events that you can post. So then what would you be posting instead? All right. Cool. So B type, I have a suggestion for your B type. Host small events. Right? They don't need to be as big as like Carry Festa, but you can start doing some smaller events like pop-ups, like the same way I don't remember the name of the person on IG, but they do stuff at some hotels where they get people to rent to get booths at their events. I think it's like She Market, I think is what it's called. I think it's She Market. All right. So something like that. Or you can start even smaller. All right. Where that could be your B-type goal. You do something kind of farmers market-ish, and you just put that together. Get people to come and you grow it from there so that by the time you get to Carry Faster, you already have people that know you. They're willing to chip in. They're willing to get a booth with you because they know the type of events that you're able to put on. All right. We got Veronica Leon. Love that name. Public speaker, passionate, determined, driven. All right. Those are similar adjectives, all right, which is fine. I mean, they work for a public speaker, but remember, you can get words that speak to the person, their personality. You can go with how they dress. You could go with how they deliver what they do. So how does Veronica make people feel as a public speaker, right? Do they feel Veronica coming from my neck? Like she knows me so well that it feels like she's coming at me, but there's still a little bit of love there. Does she feel like a sister? Does she feel like a best friend? Does she come across more like a mother? Like what kind of vibe does she have as she's relaying that information and talking to people while she's on stage? All right, cool. All right, so we're gonna keep it moving. So we have our 3 words that describe our client. We have their A type, their B type, their C type goals, and the other thing that's going to go with that is going to be the backstory, right? So your client is now in this place. What got them there? Right? That's not something you're going to have to write right now, and it doesn't have to be super long, right? Because this is just giving us the picture so that when you present the game plan to them, that it makes sense. Okay, so let's say for Veronica, she's a public speaker now, but maybe when she was younger at schools, what do you call those things? Speech day. Someone came, like a Raphael Saul came and spoke to her when she was at school. She got inspired and now she wants to do the same thing, right? That is kind of like part of the story. Now, when you're writing that story, you're sharing the story, you're going to include the ideal audience. So Veronica is a public speaker, but does she speak to everyone? Is she speaking specifically to women? Is she speaking to teenagers? Is she speaking to executive secretaries for 7-figure earners? You know what I mean? Your client can speak to a specific person. The more specific they are, the better it is for you. All right, Kimani. Record music, promote it, gain fame and fans, perform at small shows, birthday parties, make money from streams. Be a rich and famous artist, perform at huge shows, and go on tours. All right. We got to get a lot more specific. So, A-type, this is 30 days. Your client is going to record music, promote it, gain fame and fans. 30 days. If they're going to do all of that, give me some numbers. Like, what is going to make sense? Because 30 days, is it 10 followers in 30 days? Is it 30 followers in 30 days? What is going to be that metric, right? You say record music. How much music are you going to record in 30 days? Is it one song, two songs? And has this person been performing and writing all this time? Or are they now starting from scratch? All right, that's going to be part to see how this works, how this makes sense. Now, when you see perform at small shows, birthday parties, make money from streams, that's good. Now, if you say make money from streams, these are audio streams that we're talking about, not that they're live streaming. All right, so I could take that as from streaming on whether it's Spotify or whatever.
I have a question as well, sir.
Sure.
For the C-type goal,
yep.
Is there a specific amount of time that you have in terms of expectation?
No.
Okay.
Right. This is just what they see, right? And you might not even be able to take them there. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So you're working with them right now. They got the A-type, the B-type, and the C-type. You know that they want to do this thing. So whether it's perform at the Grammys is what they want to do. You know that's something that they want to do, and you can help them build the foundation. But they may move on from you at some point to work with someone that can help them get to the Grammy stage, right?
That actually helps. All right, let me give you a little breakdown of what I have. So Darkman Unleashed is the brand name now.
Okay.
The A-type goal is to record his first song and collaborate with artists and producers within the first 30 days. Right? The B-type goal is to perform at 3 house parties, his first garden party event, and book interviews with media houses. And that's going to be within the 30 to 90 day span.
Okay.
Right? The C-type goal is to release his album called Style and Craft. It's going to have 120 songs, and the aim is to go tour in the Caribbean. And I don't have an actual date time for that as yet, but I think I'm going to put out to be 1.5 years.
Right. Okay. What you can do, even though you don't have a timeline for it, you can give an idea of the countries he wants to tour. Like, is it a full island chain tour? Does he want to tour Jamaica, Barbados, I don't know, somewhere else? You know what I mean? So that, right. So if you know these are the locations that you want to tour, is like, I want to release an album and I want to have a tour to go with it, right? Then it kind of paints a broader picture, because in order to tour, you got to make connections.
Definitely.
Right? And if you got 3 territories to deal with, then you got to get connections in all 3 territories, which is going to help you with, all right, if you got to go there eventually, A-type, this person wants to collaborate, right? Can we create and work on some things so that we could start building those relationships from now, right? Like there's an artist called, it's not Frank. He's a Christian artist though. Anyway, on TikTok, he's popping, but he created a series where he will take a globe, spin it, put his finger, and whatever finger he points on,
what you mean, yeah.
Right? He would look to do a collaboration with someone from that country.
And he does.
Yeah, and he does.
And they're bangers.
Yeah. Right? So if you know that A-type is to collaborate with persons, you could narrow it down so that you still need time for the in-between work, because it's 30 days, right? So if you want to collaborate with artists, plural, then you still got to build the track, write the track, find the artists, mix, master, right? And you got to do research to find people, narrow down the people that you're not going to work with. All of that needs to happen, right? So if you say in 30 days I want to do it with 2, then it may feel more realistic than like 30 days and want to work with 10 artists. Like, okay.
Definitely.
All right. So if you're consistent, like if it's 2 artists every month, by a year and a half from now, you would have worked with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. You may be able to figure out some stuff. So that's where I say like you could use the C-type goal to help you reverse engineer back to the A-type so that you have something that, yes, we could definitely get this done. One, it's going to make your client feel, you know what? I'm making progress, right? Something actually happened as opposed to, shh, I only work with 2 artists and I got to find 8 more.
Yeah, you see. Well, the aim of the this style skit mainly is to keep the artist on track, give them a idea of vision, and remember this is the foundation of Dark Man, right? So this is the eminence, the beginning of Dark Man, right? So I like everything you recommended. I definitely will put it into great practice.
All right, perfect. All right, cool. So you guys can keep going, but I'm gonna go back to the presentation. Actually, let you take 10 minutes break, and then we'll come back and finish off the rest of this Stylescape information. Get into the fonts and typefaces, and then we might do some more active work from there. All right, so 10-minute break. I'll see you guys back at 6:16 or 6:17, whatever that is. So see you guys in a bit.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, stunning blend of modern elegance, urban chic with sleek black accents. We got plush velvet seating, right? Intricate lighting fixtures that cast a mesmerizing glow. The air was thick with anticipation as the music swelled, drawing the crowd into a whirlwind of sound and movement. So as we navigate the mix, feeling the rhythm course through you, the crowd's energy was like you could feel the energy. All right. The room was a sea of stylish faces dressed to impress in the latest fashions. Their hands were raised in unison, their faces lit up with excitement. The vibe, like I said, the vibe was electric, perfect fusion of sophistication and raw energy. So as my client scanned the crowd, all right, their eyes catching familiar faces of a few regulars, a shout out to them sent the energy soaring even higher. The room was pulsating with excitement. So as he continued to spin, crowd's enthusiasm grew, creating an atmosphere that was nothing short of euphoric. So the night wore on, found yourself in a VIP room surrounded by close friends and investors. There, amidst the clinking of glasses and the buzz of conversation, you met up with Diego de la Rosa, your co-owner and business partner. So raising the glass to the successful launch of Carpe Diem, you and Diego exchange a knowing glance, silent acknowledgement of the hard work and dedication that brought us to this moment. All right, so that right there, that was pretty much the C-type goal for my client Semitone coming to life. All right, we want to get to this place where we got our own club. Club is called Carpe Diem. I got my business partner, and that is what that felt like, right? Everything, like we doing music, we got the familiar faces in the crowd from me putting in that work. You know what I mean? So a type goal might have been to start doing mixes online. From doing those mixes online, B type goal along the way, before we get to B, I might be reaching out to different clubs, different events to see if I could get on there. All right. So as I'm building trust, building the audience, I'm also reaching out to the same time. So B type is I got a club gig, right? So I learn everything I can from that space, and not me, semitone. Anywho, that's just how I kind of put together my Stylescape. I'm going to be giving you guys a template so you can see how it looks. But this is just like PowerPoint, like you put one picture after the other. So it kind of works better in this presentation standpoint. But when you put together your Stylescape, it's going to just look like one board that has all the pictures all at the same time. All right. So if you work better with having a story to guide you, then cool, absolutely do that. All right, so here's your Stylescape checklist. All right, so we spoke about this. One of the first things we do is figure out the brand attributes. Yes, we're talking about people, but people are brands now. We got influencers. We have people that make money just by showing up, their face, their voice. Those things are now valuable to the market. And as they add value to their audience, they're now paid for that, right? Through YouTube, through Instagram, all those things. So those brand attributes, those are those three things that I told you about, right? Whether they're about the person's voice, their tone, their look, their feel, their presentation, what their vibe is, how they do what they do, right? Are they meticulous? Are they more laid back? Are they the type that feels like, you know, the artist Black, like 6LACK, that he just feels laid back all the time? You do that and you get those three words. Image buckets. Now, because the Stylescape is based completely on imagery, I'm going to give you a few things that you can use in your search, right? Some of those things are, I'm going to drop them in the chat. So there's wayfinding. Those things are signs, right? Like if you could think of arrows that point in directions. They could be textures like clothing or geography. So if your artist is from the Caribbean, then things like blue waters, palm trees, coconuts, those are things that can subtly speak to where they're from. If you want to speak to their goals and where they're trying to get to, then you can have imagery that helps with that. So if you're thinking Afrobeat, you might be able to put Burna Boy or some known Afrobeat artist on there. All right. If you want to put reggae, then you could put someone in there. You could put red, gold, green. That would speak to that as well. All those different things. Interiors. So if you know your client is a event planner, right? You can have different images that speak to the type of settings, the type of events that they want to work with. So if you know, like if it's Bliss, Lost in Paradise, where you have those backdrops, the photo backdrops that might have flowers and those sort of things, then you could put some of those on your Stylescape as well. Anything that you think would be things that your client would like, you could put those on the board. Clothing, how do they dress? How do they carry themselves? Does your client have a signature look? Is it that they wear a t-shirt and they always have a scarf around their neck or a bandana, right? Are they like me where they wear earrings that don't match, right? That could be a signature thing. You just put that in there as well. Shoes, like, do they always wear heels? Do they wear boots? Do they wear Crocs? Do they wear those really, really big red boots that were talk of the town like maybe 2 years ago? The Astro Boy shoes. Yeah, book covers if they make sense for your client. Architecture and buildings, right? Buildings as in bars, restaurants, clubs, arenas. What do they want? If it's a performer and they see themselves on a big stage, then having an image of a arena, a venue would be great, right? Those are the image buckets. So this empathy map. So this right here sounds like a lot, but this just speaks to who your audience is, right? So if you're an event planner, there's a particular person that wants your services. Can you point that person out if they were walking through a crowd? Right? Do you know exactly who they are? Remember, I told you last week, we have that musician that makes music for 25 to 30-year-old women who love to dance in their kitchen while they're cooking. That is specific, right? As opposed to saying, I made music for everybody. You as a manager, you're going to have a hard time marketing that, right? The clearer you can get, the easier job is going to be, because when you identify it down to a person, what can happen is people from different groups can resonate to different aspects of this specific person that you're talking to. So if you want to give your audience a name, you're like, I am talking to Lucy. Then your client, whenever they create content, it's only for Lucy. Lucy is going to love this. All right. So where do they live? What do they do? What do they do for work? What do they do when they're relaxing? All right. Who is your audience? And those are pictures that you guys are going to be able to pull off the internet. You can use websites like freepic.com, stock photography websites, iStockPhoto.com. Freepic, you can download for free. I think per day you can download either 10 or 15 for free. After that, you're going to get things with watermarks on them. I am not going to punish you if you have things with watermarks. That's completely fine. All right. A few more things on the empathy map, like what do they shop for? Where do they relax? What do they see? What do they hear? What do they touch? Like what are they into? Just because your client is a musician doesn't mean that your audience has to love every single thing about them. You might be the type of person that you listen to, let's say, Afrobeat, or you might not listen to Afrobeat. You listen to reggae, conscious reggae, right? And when you're working, you listen to Afrobeat without the lyrics, right? Just because that helps you focus. So now your audience is the type of person, maybe they are studying, they're doing things that they really need to focus, and they like to listen to these type of things. And they like the conscious lyrics of, let's say, rappers and other people, right? Rappers, reggae artists. So they're not specifically only focused on reggae. Because they like conscious and they like Afro beats, it's possible that those people can also like your client. All right. So their ideal audience might not be someone who's heavily into reggae, but the type of person that takes time to slow down. You know what I mean? They're going to listen deeply to lyrics. They appreciate that sort of thing. All right. So that's just how you can help play around with the audience a little bit. From here, I'm going to give you a few examples of Stylescapes that I have done professionally for clients. I'm going to show you the results that came from it. This one is for a logo for a plant-based company, right? The company was called Apothecary. Sorry, it was called Apothos, and it is an apothecary, which means they're pretty much a place that you get plants from, but they also teach you about plants, help you out with plants. So a lot of plant-based knowledge, as well as you can actually get the plant or the pot for the plant to go with it. All right. So in working on this, kind of like minimal type things. So I did a lot of these line drawing things as examples for them to see. Obviously, I had a lot of plant colors in here. As you can see, there's a lot of green. But then there are also hints of like yellow. We got yellow on the leaves, yellow on the background. You got yellow on this bottle. Now, I pulled in some bits and pieces about the client, the owner. When I put them in here, she's from the Caribbean. So this bottle says Calypso, subtle hint of the Caribbean, but the colors still also match the plants. All right. But then I also know that they're going to be using quotes and that sort of thing to help connect with the audience. So give hugs, like this kind of feel, also with the line drawing. Pot it like it's hot. It's pretty much, it's very fantastic. And say hello to my little friend. You know what I mean? They're also kind of cheesy. So all of these things kind of connected. From here, I was able to develop the color palette from plants. All right. So we got a yellow, we got some white in here, we got this light green, a darker green, and a pink. So that was the color palette that we started to work with. And we ended up with this logo right here. All right. So you can see we got line drawing, we got this text here in the middle, we got leaves. And you can see we got these line drawing things over here. So you can kind of see how those dots were connected. Another logo example is a boutique in Barbados. The owner really likes Tinkerbell, so I had to put it on here. But this is a jewelry accessory based company. This is called Finishing Touch. So we have the color palette here. You can tell like purple is important. Even if you didn't know who the client was, you can tell that purple is important just looking at this thing. All right. Well, I have the photos. I also show them different vibes that could be interesting for them. No one on the island really promotes jewelry on forks or utensils. Like chains naturally feel like noodles. So wouldn't it be really cool if you're scrolling on Instagram, you got jewelry stores, and then you start seeing a Chinese food takeout box, and then on chopsticks, they have the chains, right? Those are some things that might stop people from scrolling. So it's interesting from that standpoint, from that perspective. On the fork, we put a whole bunch of rings on the forks. So that's also something there. And then here we have chains with, let's say it's like an earring type hoop thing on the end, but we shoot it upside down. So it's going to feel like balloons, right? Since she likes Tinkerbell, she obviously likes this whimsical, fantasy, magical type situation. So we use that to help figure out how we're going to present how the brand shows up in public, right? We're going to lean into the whimsical. We're going to lean into things that feel outside of the ordinary. You guys hear me? Yes. Right? We're still going. Is my mic? All right. I think I'm still good. Because at the end of the day, you're still going to be seeing what the brand is all about. All right. Right. So we started here, and this is where we ended up. All right. So we ended up with, we got our pixie because we can use a literal Tinkerbell. I don't want Disney coming after me. I don't got that sort of money. But we have Tinkerbell here. We got the two sparkles here. These two sparkles come from the eyes in finishing. All right, so you can see how things all come together. Cool. And one more example for you. This one is for another brand where the person is a natural hairstylist specializing in locks. You can tell they specialize in locks because of all the locks on the page. Yeah. So along with those locks, we went through a concept of lines, and these organic lines. Like you got these lines here, kind of feel like locks. You got these tiger stripes, right? Feel like lines. You got a shirt with the tools that also have that feeling, but then also natural tones. So the yellows, the browns, oranges. We got a lot of that going on, which then led us here. We got free flowing lines, right? The T, the L, and another L. So the locked lifestyle is where we ended up. So my question to you, are you guys seeing how, with those three examples, how the Stylescape is a way that we're able to take it from, let's say, a conversation to something visual, and then based on that visual, the end result can be something
Yes, sir.
I like the way that you show the creativity and the similarities that you can find within what naturally occurs within a brand and actually implement a different style of promoting imagery and brand sense. I love it though. I learned a lot in this particular aspect right now. This graphic area really is not my field, but I'm learning a lot right now.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. So, and you can take this for anything, right? So even my event planners, you can create a stylescape for events that you're putting on. So let's say we had time and we wanted to reverse engineer like Lost in Paradise, right? We're reverse engineering Lost in Paradise to see what a stylescape would have looked like. What bunch of pictures can we throw together to equate to the vibe of what they end up with, right? And that's something that you can use moving forward. So you are doing for my wedding planner, right? When you think about your client, I want you to even think beyond just weddings, but look for gaps in the market. And when I say a gap in the market, if you're not right now in that space, when you think about weddings, what do you see in your mind? If you see chapels, then I would urge you to do the opposite, right? You might create something that is somewhat different. It could include a chapel, but it doesn't have to be the way that it's always done. Now, weddings are tricky because those are very, very personal. And I feel like a wedding planner is it's a very interesting role. You know, a lot of that work is going to come from your client and you're helping them create a vision that works. And if you're able to communicate your vision as well, like how you can make their thought better, then wonderful. All right. But you can go with that. But yeah, you could definitely take the idea of a stylescape and run with it. And see how that helps you moving forward. Like last week, we spoke about the principles of design, right? CRAP, right? Contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. So you can use this in the same way. You have your client, if the vision that you have for them, or from their conversation, like they like contrast, they like to be against the grain, they don't like doing what's expected. You can take a contrast perspective and you'll be like, all right, cool. I think the color palette that we go with, we should lean into contrast. Why? Because the story of contrast blends with the story of your personality, right? So that when we get into interviews eventually and people ask the question, why are you always wearing these like block colors, these colors that don't really blend with each other? It's like I'm contrast, right? I push the norms. I see what people are doing and I do the opposite, which makes you a lot more interesting than I just like wearing black and white. I just do. All right, pushing forward. All right, so we spoke about the stylescape. So you can take your images, you start curating the stylescape. The template is pretty much going to be this, right? Where there's like a triangle here, there's these square type shapes, and you just drag and drop using Canva. All right, so if you don't have a Canva account, then you could go ahead, go over to canva.com, create an account. You could use your BCC email address if you want to. You could use your Gmail. Doesn't matter. Once you have that, then I will share the template with you so that you have it. And then you can go ahead and start adding stuff to your Stylescape boards when you get to that project, if you choose to do the project. Because even though we were talking about Stylescapes this whole time, both Stylescapes and the game plan, those are project 1 and project 2. You don't have to do the Stylescape project, right? There might be something else that you want to do more than this. And that's fine too.
I already have Canva, so I guess you could send over the template.
Okay, brilliant. All right, so these are in presentation, right? When you're thinking about presenting to your client, sometimes you may not do one Stylescape, you might just do 3, right? Where the first one is mild. This is what is expected. It's like, all right, cool. You told me that you're Afrobeat reggae artist. Okay. That immediately has some visuals in mind. And you put everything that's obvious on the mild Stylescape. Spicy is when you take that idea and you push it in a direction that may not even completely make sense to you. It is way out the box, but it's still based on your client's attributes, right? What would be spicy for your client? And then medium of self-explanatory is somewhere in the middle. All right. And when you present 3, now I'm not saying you have to do 3 for me. I'm just saying I'm speaking future into you, right? This is future you when you're working with actual clients or working on your actual events. You're trying to get investors and everything on board. You're planning out the event and you got to pitch it to your sponsors beforehand. Well, your investors beforehand. You can give them different Stylescapes for one event so that they can see like, all right, this is the vision for the event. This, expected. This is what everyone else does. Spicy, no one has done this. Somewhere in the medium, we're going to take some risks, but it's going to feel familiar. All right, so that is Stylescapes. All right, Stylescapes.
Are we for mild?
Pardon?
What had you said for mild?
Oh, mild is expected. This is the most expected version of the Stylescape, and it's based on the attributes of your client. So those 3 words that you would have mentioned, it's going to be based on that. They're all based on it, right? But this one, mild, is just everything is safe.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, let's go back to the beginning. All right, so the Stylescape is a bridge between design thinking and visual design. All right, so design thinking, how can we take what we want to execute and what can we do with it, right? What do all these connected parts mean? What is if it's a musician, what is their audience experience going to be when I'm performing, right? How am I going to present myself? Do my songs speak to my life? Do my songs represent my audience's life? You know, is it a marriage of the two? Am I a singer, a R&B singer that looks and sounds like an R&B singer? Or do I carry myself more like a heavy metal artist, but I actually sing R&B? And if that's the case, why would I do that? Right? Is it just to be different, to stand out, to grab attention? Sure. If not, I actually only listen to heavy metal, but I really like doing runs. People are complicated. But that authenticity, that story could be very interesting to people to hear. All right. So that was Stylescapes. Let me pause. Why does this have 2 voices? Oh.
I think this class can help me create some logos and 3 logos. And I was stuck for years on was my vision behind them. I put them in play. I wrote them out. I thought about them. But then when I executed it in Canva, they all suck. So I have some beautiful, amazing minds here. I've been a brilliant teacher, so I need help on
Oh,
3 logos.
come on. You want to say that
Yeah.
again? You want to say that last part one more time?
I'm a brilliant teacher.
Appreciate it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
We're
All
here
the
to help you, Carrie. We're here to help you.
Thank you. Thank you.
all right. So we're going to be talking about fonts and typefaces. So, pop quiz. Are fonts and typefaces A, one and the same, B, fundamentally different, or C, you have no idea? Put your answers
C.
in the chat.
I have no idea.
C, but I can guess B.
C, but you can guess B. These conflicting decisions.
Anything but A.
I bet I just heard that said she can pick me.
It is Jazaria because I don't know, but I could try. So it's B.
I'm still sticking with C. I have no idea.
Wait, Jazaria, you had your camera on for this call
Yeah, earlier.
So when it just left me to be a black screen by myself.
I enjoying back shortly after eating
Oh,
my frosted flakes.
all right, no problem.
I have to say that they're fundamentally different.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because a font is literally a type of text, and I think a typeface is something more stylized. But that's just what I'm getting from reading the actual names here. I guess because I look at logos a lot in terms of branding and monograms and so on, I think would be categorized under typefaces. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that a font is something that we literally just type in. And yes, it could probably fit into the brand aesthetics and so on, but I think that they're two fundamentally different things.
Okay, cool. All right, sweet. So let's get into this. So a typeface, all right, is definitely not the same as a font. They are fundamentally different. Although in conversation, we interchange them a lot, right? You're going to say, well, this is a very nice font. I probably can use this type. So it's a nuance, right? Nuance between the differences. But. The real deal is typefaces or fonts are important in design and branding as they've never been, right? And understanding the terms historically, that's going to help us. So let's get into this. So while a typeface is a set of design features for letters and other characters, a font is a variation in weight and size of a typeface. Okay, so you can have a typeface. So it has a specific set of features. But then when you're talking about bold, italic, skinny, slim, that's now font in there. All right. So a font family is a group of related fonts. Don't worry, we're gonna make this make sense. Why? Because I like metaphors and we're going to make this make sense. Because I just say font and typeface and people be like, I don't know what is going on. So let's try it this way. If I told you I just bought a pair of slip-on shoes, how would you describe that shoe? It's a slip-on shoe. How would you describe it? That's a real question.
Probably easy to. Oh, somebody talking. I would say it'd probably be easy to wear, maybe minimalistic. Maybe I would say overall it has attributes of, not expecting or is this one thing, slip on, you just didn't want to walk around with them. So they're not very versatile, just slip on, So they might be
Oh, sorry.
Just push your foot and go. Just pull on, pull off. It's slip on, easy.
It is
No
a
laces.
slipper. It is a slipper. Push in your foot, take it out, and you'll be fine.
Is it a slipper though? Like, would you say Crocs or slippers?
No, but Crocs have straps.
Well, I would say Crocs are slippers because even though they're somewhat enclosed, they essentially operate the same way. You just slip your foot, well, a majority of them, you slip your foot in them and you go. So I actually would say yeah, if you're thinking in terms of branding, then probably would not be categorized as slippers. But in
Right.
terms of usability, they're probably closest to slippers.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see what's going on. So we got a bunch of shoes, right? Everything you're looking here is a shoe. We would agree with that, right? All of these are shoes. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So typefaces are shoes. All right, because they got a set of features that they're going to work. Set of features that make sense. A font now is like within the shoe category, we got trainers, we got slip-ons, we got boat shoes, we got espadrilles, we got Hirachis, we got leather sneakers, canvas sneakers. All of them is still shoes, but this is now like a specific type of shoe. Okay. So
Okay.
so when you take yes.
So, all right. For me now, since you broke it down that way, a typeface is basically the style of a font. A font is a branding of the typeface. That's it.
Say that again.
All right. So you said the typeface is the shoe. So the typeface is the actual thing. A font now is a style of the shoe.
Yes. So the typeface is like how we say in Barbados, we say everything is rum. Like we drinking vodka, but that's rum. Anything alcoholic in Barbados is rum. But in reality, vodka is not rum. Right? But it has an alcohol. So it's still an alcoholic beverage. So alcoholic beverages is the typeface. But when you go to, I want a clear liquor derived from potatoes, you're looking at vodka. Those specific features make it the difference between brown rum and vodka. But we're going to make this make sense. This is not my last slide. We're going to make this make sense.
Yeah.
All right. So typefaces, serifs, sans serifs, decorative or display, and script. All right. These are the typefaces we playing with. So under serifs, you're going to have a bunch of fonts that match those characteristics. Sans serifs, you're going to have a bunch of fonts that match those characteristics. So it doesn't matter how fancy the things get, you are a sans serif. Regardless of what you tell me, use a sans serif. All right. So serif, sans serif, decorative or display, and script. So serifs are these. Like, have you ever seen Times New Roman? You got these little things on the top of the letters and the bottom of the letters. That's what makes this a serif. And there are hundreds of serif typefaces. Sorry, there are hundreds of serif fonts. But the overall typeface is serif. All of them are going to have this feature. Now, we would usually see this, and it would give like this says on the screen, a sophisticated, a classic type feel. Feels like you've been around for a while. You might also feel luxury, depending on how it's used. So like this right here. On the left, this is the original, Whole Foods. Does this Whole Foods and this Gap, do they feel like they're the same as this? Or does it feel like a completely different company?
Completely different.
All right.
One from Wish or one from Amazon.
Yeah. That Wish at Amazon. But yeah, so it could be because we've seen it so long as a serif that seeing it as a sans serif, it just looked weird and wrong. Right? Rolex, this Rolex look cheap. This look like I get this from a Lucky Dip. Whereas this Rolex, it feels expensive. That could be branding because we've seen it for so many years. But hey, I don't know. I don't know if I'll
I
feel the
think
same about this.
I actually think the font gives off an airiness of a luxury. I
Yeah.
think that's what I'm getting when I see the well, I say font now, but typeface
Yeah, the
gives off
typeface.
an airiness of luxury.
Yeah. Right. And that's something that you can bear in mind when you are communicating for your client. Right. So social media, you could use any typeface that you want. Right. You can grab any font off of Instagram because they're going to give you some options. But now, if you know Lux Lane, I I expecting to see like this feels expensive. What you're doing should feel expensive. So if you use a certain typeface, depending on how you use it, it might not communicate expensive, even though you want people to think that you're, you know what I mean, high quality, that you are high end, that you're upscale and all that. So this is something that you need to pay attention to. It's as if these typefaces were talking. What would they sound like? You know what I mean? I saw a clip on Instagram that was funny about typefaces talking, but that's something I can share a little later. Well, let's go into sans serif now. Sans serifs, these tend to, one, they don't have the serif thing sticking out on the end of the letters. They tend to be more relaxed. They're informal. They feel casual, right? They may feel a little more like you did live next door. You know what I mean? Like they could feel um luxury, but that's going to depend on how you use it. And then doing things like giving it space to breathe, right? But that's a whole different conversation. Right. So this sans serif. Here are some brands that use sans serifs. All right. Again, the original is on the left. And the thing is on the right. So look at Netflix. Netflix here, does this feel luxury to you? What does this feel like to you?
To
I
me,
don't
but every
know.
time I turn on a video, it can stick.
I would say something like I know like the glove driven experience. I don't know.
Feeling like TNT, just old stuff. It just feels like I can see a lot of old things on here. All right, Facebook, like look at this. Now again, I don't know if
It look updated to me, like that's the old school version.
right. So I don't know if it's because we've seen the right thing so often. It looks like an illegal website. It's because we've seen the right thing for so long that anything that's not that just feels wrong, right? That could be true. But I also believe the typeface matters,
Mm.
right?
The
Look at
Facebook on the right kind of gives off this librarian feel to it. It doesn't give me the social media interest. I don't
right.
know, but it kind of makes me feel like library for some reason.
Yeah. All right. Walmart, same thing. So now these are decisions that you guys are going to be making. If you're going to host an event and it's going to be a luxury event, and the designer that you hire to do the artwork for you sends you the artwork and it's depending on the typefaces used, you might be like, something about this just don't feel right, but you're not sure what it is, right? Before this class, you're like, I'm not too sure. I don't know what's wrong with it, but something don't feel like it hits in the market that I want it to hit. Now that you have some insight into the typography, the fonts that are used, the typefaces that are used, you be like, you know what? We need to change that typeface. I need you to put the headline in a serif so that the expensive thing is the biggest thing that you see. And then for legibility, you could put everything else in a sans serif. Maybe. But it needs to be a thin sans serif. You know what I mean? Not fat and chunky. Give me it thin. So sans serifs, they could be clean, they could be crisp, modern. They're minimal and they're engaging. All right. And there's a clear break with tradition, with the psychological associations of adventure or modern, right? This clean and simple look is often found in fonts used by tech companies. So Google changed their logo from a serif to a sans serif back in 2015. All right, so this is like, if you want to say like there are no frills here, there's nothing to distract the eye, you just got the clean shape. All right. This right here is a decorative typeface. Decorative typefaces tend to have a whole bunch of stuff going on in them. They are terrible if you had to write a book. You could imagine a book with this, like all the letters are like this, right? It's terrible for what we would call body text, but it's great for headlines. If you're doing a t-shirt, this is great for a t-shirt, right? Just minimal letters as possible. It's eye-catching. It can tell you a story, but they're not going to be used in sentences or with a lot of letters. That's the point of these decorative or display fonts. They're supposed to just grab attention, and that's it. All right, so showing this in context, we got a gateway where these letters here, they got a little drop shadow situation here. The gateway is a lot easier to read than the. All right, they both have the little shadow, but because gateway is a certain size, the shadow isn't as distracting as here. All right, so all of those are decisions that can be made, but you now are able to say yes or no because you have a little more insight. All right, so with this awareness, alignment, agreement, this text, this way this is treated was a lot better than this for the size of the text. If it's big, cool. But if it's small, we need something that's clear. And now we have scripts. Scripts are usually, they can be as far ranging as like a handwriting. And they can go even deeper when you have calligraphy, like stuff that's hard to read. It looks very pretty. You will usually see it on wedding invitations, but it's not always legible. Right? So there's a time and place for these things. Scripts, they have a flow to them, right? They feel like they're going somewhere. But sometimes they are difficult to read. Like this letter is a R, right? This is travelers, but this R is different to this R. But because of this free-flowing handwriting situation, the R is now backwards, right? But for some reason, you may not read it as an N because your brain is telling you, yeah, this is supposed to be travelers. So depending on your client, you can pick and choose and pair typefaces to tell a particular story. So we have a sans serif with a script to tell the story of we are travelers. All right. Here's another one. These scripts, they sometimes can fall into the same trap as decorative typefaces, depending on how scripty they are, right? How deep their handwriting goes. Like you sometimes will find a script that's literally like a signature. Like you can't read these letters, but visually it looks really cool. So how some people use them on like t-shirts or something, they will put the actual word in all caps behind, and then they will just put the script on top, just as something that you see, but you don't necessarily need to read. All right, so we spoke about those typefaces: serif, sans serif, decorative or display, and script. So now that we have the typefaces, each typeface can have different weights. So we can have a script typeface that is thin, medium, normal, and bold. Right? We can have those weights for every single typeface. These are now fonts. The weight is now a font. So Times New Roman bold is a different font to Times New Roman condensed. All right, so those are the differences inside the category that holds specific characteristics. All right, so the main options, those are the typefaces. The sub options are the fonts. Main options, typefaces. What do I want to communicate? Is it luxury? Is it stability? Is it I mean, there are some more typefaces, but I just started you guys off with 4. Because if you've ever seen a varsity jacket, those jackets that the college footballers would wear, college athletes, those letters where they're big, they're chunky, and it's kind of like if let me go back. It's a lot like the serif, but if it is more square and more blocky, like you have like a big letter A, those would be what we call a slab, right? That's the typeface, slab, SLAB. Now, if you personally don't see yourself leaning into this whole design, doing the artwork yourself, that is completely fine. If you understand the thinking of it, then you're able to communicate what you actually want to a graphic designer a lot better. So 1, you had your meeting with your client, you know what their desires are, you know where they want to go, you know their goals, and you have your game plan in place. Part of executing on that game plan is going to be communicating digitally, which is part of the name of this course, right? You need to be able to communicate in a digital landscape, which tends to be visual as part of it. So if we know that this person creates music for women who are 25 to 30 years old, who love to sing in the kitchen while they're cooking, then what typeface is probably going to fit that crowd? All right. These are 25 to 30-year-old women. So they are, what is that? Those are millennials. Millennials? No. It's like Gen Z. It's like Gen Z right now. All right. So there's a certain vibe attached to them. Are they stiff? Right? Are they kind of like boxed in? Do they feel like they follow rules? Or are they a little more relaxed and laid back? All right. To me, they're probably a little more laid back. So we might end up in a sans serif place in our communication because we want to speak to those people. But I'm also targeting women, right? Who, 1, like to dance, and 2, like to cook. So if we're thinking about dance, what does dance say? Dance is movement, dance is flow. So I might be using sans serifs and scripts in my communication so that visually it looks like the people that I'm talking to. I can test that and see if those individuals are who am I attracting. All right. So that's the thinking. That's where I want you guys to be going. The thinking is more important than knowing exactly than what it looks like. And when we spoke about the projects, remember there's a project that is a booth design. So if you think there's going to be a booth design, you might do pull-up banners. You might have messages that are kind of big in the background and that sort of thing. If you know who you're targeting, then you know, like, all right, this is going to be a big message here. I'm going to choose this particular typeface. When I ask you why you chose that, you're going to say, like, well, I'm targeting persons that like dance. There are women, and they're also in this age group. This typeface is more effective for them just based on their characteristics. What I say in the typeface is a different challenge altogether. All right. So that is visual communication. These people know. All right. And That's where we start to get deeper in the weeds. So we did the Stylescape. We just jumped into fonts and typefaces. All right, we're in the last 45 minutes. So you guys get another break at this point. You can come on back in about 10 minutes. Do I want to give you 10? I'm going to give you 15. Let's do 15. You come back at 7:30.
Sir, before you go, you could please go back to the serif slide, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. So that's a serif, sans serif.
Were there four, or it was just these two?
There are 4.
Right. Thank you.
All right, there are more, but these are the main ones.
Okay, I got them. Thank you.
Okay, good stuff. All right, so see you guys back here 7:30.
Sir, are you there with me?
Yes, please.
Why did you hide your identity from me? Do you know I'm a reporter? And do you know that your song is my favorite song? Don't do that to me.
My song is your favorite song?
Is your name not Cass Taylor as your stage name?
Get hold out. Gasp. Which song is this? That's your favorite song?
Be all right.
Oh, wow.
Let me
Wow.
get into this because I was here, so I know him, and I was telling my girlfriend, I know this man that teaches me. And she was like, they're probably just looking like. I got me feeling mad for 2 weeks. I'm mad. I know it's right.
That's
I know
hilarious.
it is. I
What a,
know.
what a small world.
A very small, tricky world.
Who knew?
I knew.
Well, apparently you did. Not
Yeah, I should have
everyone.
done.
Thanks so much. I've been exposed.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Everything
gonna be all right.
gonna be all right this morning.
Yeah. Look. Well, you can find me in my secret place, in my secret room, where my secret's safe and sound and surrounded by the deepest bass. No trouble, just treble as I seek his face and to find my place in this big wide world of options, rapper slash designer. Cause somewhere there's an outlet to fit my shape, but still I struggle to find a gift that matches perfect grace. Yeah, so as my heartbeat breaks on, he put his love on everything, and the weight alone's amazing and amazing. Looking in a maze, trying to teach me in this life. There's so many paths to take, some real, some fake, others leading to a dead end. Some take me full circle back to the start again. I know the road will make the same mistakes again. You brought me to it, I just asked you help me to the end. Yeah, and now you know it.
Everything gonna be all right.
Everything's gonna be all right.
Everything gonna be all right. Everything gonna be all right.
Snapbacks, the boom bap, and 80s baby. Born from the boom box, yeah, the beat's crazy. And I'm beating on the track, ain't no way to tame me. Lord, I thank you for the gift that you gave to me. As I unwrap this present, sir, I'm presently rapping to address all the stresses that constantly focus on my weak points. Hardly where my blessings be. Look at the fort of Troy, but they defend the beach. They let the Greeks to the front, ain't no need to breach. Alert the streets, be on guard, ain't no time to sleep. Straight from my ropes, and Lord, put my stakes deep in your word. Cause I know that you will complete everything you saw, so work of art, living masterpiece, finish with your signature. So now that you're seeing me, I'm not picture perfect, far from it, but you taking me battered, bruised, and flawed. Round of applause, cause you use crooked sticks to make straight lines.
Everything gonna be all right.
Everything
gonna be all right. Everything gonna be all right.
Everything gonna be all right.
Woo woo! Y'all know that Sir saying, right?
Wow.
Well, that got me sure a lot of days because, like, a friend sent it to me, and he was like, "You stress too much. Everything gonna be all right." And this song came, and I was like, it catching it different. And then I just start playing it every day and playing. And I was like,
crazy.
anytime I get you something, I say, everything's gonna be all right. I wish I would say, let me know that song again.
Song was so hard to find out.
The song is whole 11 years old.
Sir, it's 37. What do you mean?
It is 11 years old, that song. That's crazy.
But it's a good picker upper, guys. Like, they get you and you just say, it can be all right. And, the constant hearing it can be all right. Just get you that faith and just need that song. Trust me.
All right. So that's 8. So that's 11 years. I'm going to give you something that I did over the weekend. Boop, 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 which I'm working on. I paused that recording. I think I did. I hope I did. No, I did not. Yes, let's go. All right. So what we are doing right now is we're talking about the hierarchy of headings. All right. This is not the most interesting topic, but it's going to follow on what we just talked about in terms of the typography, using the different typefaces and fonts, right? Hierarchy is literally how we're going to start laying out information so that it makes sense. Laying out information so that the main thing you want people to read, they read first. And then the things that if they read it, whenever they read it, it's completely up to them. Okay? This is where we start to be strategic with our messaging. All right, so like I mentioned, we're diving into the world of graphic design, and we're starting with this fundamental thing called the hierarchy of headings. It's like creating a roadmap for your content. So imagine you are reading a book without chapters or a city without street signs. That will be pretty confusing. All right, so headings create a clear structure for your content. They serve as signposts, making it easy for your audience to navigate and understand the information and know what to read. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a poster and you're looking at the poster and you're like, so where is it? I don't know where this event is. Like, they got so much things going on, got like 40 people on the poster. You see the event name at the top, but then maybe the price in the bottom right, and then the venue halfway down on the left, and you can't really flow with how the information is going. This matters because if you imagine that you're reading a long, unstructured essay with no headings, it is like entering a maze without a map, right? The beauty of hierarchy of headings lies in its ability to organize information in a logical sequence. So, chapter 1. All right. Where do you think, just in your experience, places where organization, especially where you have to read things, is vital, is like crucial, right? I'm sure you would have picked up a book at some point, a textbook for sure, that had a table of contents. You can imagine you starting a subject that you've never done before. You got to pick up the textbook and your teacher starts reading and you're like, I don't even know what this topic is. I have no idea. Right? You can't go and say, all right, I know chapter 1 was typefaces and fonts. I know that chapter 2 was hierarchy of headings. I know chapter 3 is stylescapes. It makes reviewing information a whole lot better when you have categories that you can box things in, and you can always go in there and unpack it when you need to get the details. So visually, this is not just about words, it's about the experience, right? So these headings can also be thought of as your artistic brushstroke, right? They can make your content visually appealing and engaging. So if you have an artist that is launching something, the thing that they're launching could be the biggest thing on the page. Or if it's going on sale, or the release date for the album, or when tickets are going to be on sale for your event, that could be the biggest thing, right? Some people would say, you know what I mean, the name of the event needs to be the biggest thing all the time. But what do you want me to remember? What do you really want me to remember? Is it the date and then the event name, or is it the event and then the date? It's a choice that you can make, but it's just to make that choice on purpose and not just leaving it up to chance. If you've used Microsoft Word, you've probably seen these heading levels called like H1, H2, H3, and you might have seen body, you might have seen caption. All of those things live in Word, but you can also use it in context for design when you're creating something. All right. What do you like? Fine print, right? If you've seen a magazine ad, you've seen commercials on TV, any of those car ads on TV, there's going to be a page that tells you, let me see, like 100% financing, right? But the details about the financing is going to be in fine print, which you can't read when it's on the screen. It's there, you can't read it. So legally, we have fulfilled our obligation to present the information. It's just not at a size that anyone can read it, right? Credits at the end of a movie. You ever saw a movie finish on a channel and then the captions, the credits moving like this? They're there, but you can't read it. So anyway, graphic design isn't just about words. I mentioned it's about the visual experience. So let's look at a few things. Magazine covers are one of the most practical scenarios where you would see the hierarchy of headings in play. All right. So What is the first thing that you guys see on this page? The first words.
Noise.
Noise.
I think the end created but blocked out. I like that.
Say that one more time.
The end and noise. Look at how the style of the end is. I like that.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody knows what typefaces is?
I will say maybe what do you call it? Sans serif.
Anybody else?
Serif?
Yes, please.
No, I said
Oh, you said serif.
serif. Yeah.
Right. It sounded like you said sir. All right, cool. Yeah, it's a serif. This is a serif. All right. But then it's supported by sans serif. Right? It's a bold serif. Anyway, so noise is the main thing that you see. Why? It's the name of the magazine, or in this case, we call that a masthead. Magazines and mastheads would be similar to how you have businesses and logos. All right, this is a masthead. The issue date, the issue and date line, that is above the masthead, but it's a lot smaller. So you probably, I probably did this. Noise, style, over here, and then maybe you went here and then here. Was that about right?
Sorry, you forget the face.
Oh, you went to the face too? Well, I was just focusing on the words. Because I would see the face first. But face, noise, style, this, over here, over here, over here. All right. And people do this on purpose. All right. The things we want you to focus on first, make those the biggest thing. The other things are supported, and things that aren't really that important, you know what I mean? They get kind of left behind. Another example, we got this. All right. Now, this is a photo of a magazine ad, and I'm sure this was probably a whole lot more legible in person, because what is this word?
Yeah.
All right. So your brain let you fill in the blanks. Like you don't even have the low line here. You don't got the line here. You don't have the lines here. You don't have the line there. But your brain let you fill in the blank. So yeah, he's talking to us. Now that is the headline. This is the biggest thing. Then this is a quote from the story. All right. Quotes over here. Separate page altogether. But if you're looking at this and you're reading it in your hand like this, then you might come over here. Based on this quote and the headline, you might decide if you want to read this article or not. All right. And then the other thing that they have is the byline. These are the people that help write the article, probably the photographer. Those are all other things that are here. So hierarchy would say biggest thing first, headline. That's going to give me an indication on the article. If you know who this is, Robert De Niro. If you are familiar with his acting and some of his most known quotes, right? He has one where he's like, "Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?" Which is why they titled the article, "Yeah, he's talking to us." All right, that's how they connect the dots. Robert De Niro, famous quote, adjacent, and then a caption over here. So when you are working on your posts, your reels, you can decide what is really, really big, what's really, really small, and how you can support that information, whether everything needs to be read that's on screen, or if you just put it in the caption for Instagram, or maybe it's there on the visual, but you talk about it later on in a reel or something. All right, these are two separate examples here. All right, so we got big image, we got a headline, all sans serif. All right, headline over here on the right side of the page. We got this. And then here, also doing some interesting things. This text is just as big as this one, but you might see this text faster than you see this text, right? Because we are also going with how we absorb information. It's big, but it's on a side. We read from left to right, not bottom up. So anything left to right is going to be quicker for us to grab and understand. So we go Frank Carter. This is a whole new version of me. Reading and leads, you might be like, I don't know what that is. What is this about? All right, is this a section of the article? Oh, this is something related to the UK. Reading and leads are places in the UK. Or Reading and Leeds. Right, 100%, yeah, decoration. Right, not there for you to necessarily read, but it's there. So in communicating stuff for your client, you can decide, like, is everything that goes on there supposed to be there? Is it necessary? Can I have text on there just for the visual of it? Like, can I draw on this? I don't know if I can draw on this. Oh, cool. So you might do something like, you might have your artwork and then you could use a script, right? And then just put something on it. Like, you're not supposed to read it. It's just supposed to be there and look visually interesting. You know, so you just got a script that's just on here. Don't ask me what that word is. I just put it there. Right. Then we have emphasis and readability, right? That's another reason that we have this hierarchy of headings. Now, this is going to be more in the context of signage. Like if you're walking around, you're going to hotels, walking around airports, this is wayfinding. These are things that they make sense when you see them in context and they serve a particular purpose. So if you're walking around, you're trying to find where the bathroom is, they put the men and the women all together in one space, right? We leverage the fact that men starts with M, women has the word men in it, and they use the arrows to help you figure out what direction you should be looking in. Different signs, they make it clear. The areas where what you're looking for is clearly defined in this black area with white text on it. But then to also show what you're going to be looking at, they have this icon to go with it, right? But they have it separated so that it's very, very clear. If these three could have all been on red, right? But if they're all on red, will you see anything first? Or will you just see everything and kind of get a little confused at what you're looking at? They wanted to prioritize the things that have the greatest contrast. Remember, we spoke about contrast last week with crap. Black and white is the greatest contrast. A color and white, not so much. So the first thing you're going to see is the easiest thing to understand. Asiatic elephant, Himalaya bear, Indian bison, wolf. If you see those and you see the arrow, you know where you need to go. You may or may not look at the icon. But everything that's very important is white on black. All right. So even in this, the hierarchy is the words, the arrows, the image. Right here. Again, the text is easy to understand. The biggest thing is what street you are on. or the street that you're looking for, just based on number of steps or miles, and the arrow. But the arrow has some distance away from this text, right? So you could read Firefly Lane, 60 steps in this direction.
Just want to make a quick note if possible, sir.
Sure.
I think when we look at this player, the reason why black and white, or really black on the white stands out to us rather than the color itself is because of the tone of the black. The black is a deeper tone than the color itself. So I guess that's why our eyes actually would gravitate towards it. Just like the same color science in terms of why the color red is seen as to be alert and so on, is because it's the first color we see as humans, as from a child. So I guess like the tone here also plays a similar role because it's deep. You would notice it first.
Yeah, 100%. And those are things that you can play with, right? Those are things that can be important to you depending on what you want to communicate. Because you can give information, but you may not need all the information to be read all at the same time. All right, here we go. All the information is white on black, but they put this colored line in between to separate the two. All right, so this, we got stuff on black, stuff on the color. Here, everything is on black, but we're going to separate the two so that we can go, okay, icon, text, icon, text. All right, now this here, there's an example here of repetition. It's repetition, but in a weird way. All right, here's a repetition. The icon is closest to the pole. Regardless of the direction of the arrow, the icon is the closest thing to the pole. Okay? So it's not that the icon is on the left, it's on the right of the shape. The icon is closest to the pole. Because if the icon was supposed to be on the right all the time, then the icon will be over here. Right? The words that are closest to the implied arrow is going to be the street or whatever it is that you're looking for. All right? And those are always closest to the arrow. Next thing is the distance that you need, the time frame that it's going to take to get there is next to this vertical blue line, right? So the time is closest to the blue, time is closest to the blue, time is closest to the blue. And then on the outside of everything, you have the illustration of someone walking. All right, so even in this, what we're looking at, you get to break down the information a bit. So for my persons that are doing event planning, have you ever been to an event and you've been walking around a location like, I don't know where anything is. I don't know where to find a bathroom. Why didn't they put up some signs? Right? So that can be important to communication.
I love this.
But I'm not even going to say anything about this.
Please do. I love it.
Right? Man to the left because women are always right. So says the sign.
I guess the sign is.
Pardon me?
The sign is feminist.
And so said you, sir.
So sad me. I just talking about hierarchy.
Oh. Feminist hierarchy.
I just talking about hierarchy of headings, right? Men to the left because women are always right. That's what this sign says.
Is that a bathroom sign?
Who knows what this is?
It would be a cool, unique bathroom sign just telling men on the left and women on the right.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Right? It could be a bathroom sign. I don't know, some segregated entrance to something. Who knows what this is?
The reason I asked is because of the color tones that are being used. It's look like it's on the door, and the tone of the door seems like it could be some form of, a high-end bathroom or, high-end hotel for that matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
just the color scheme I get it. And maybe it's because of the font as well. Getting this, I don't know, like the font kind of screams bathroom to me for some reason. Maybe
I guess
everything comes
because
together.
the men and the women and the text in it bold. Men bold, women bold, and the other word small. So that way we
Yeah,
give you men and women. I understand.
give it up. Like, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, could be. Could be. And let's say it was a bathroom sign, right? You could realize there are no bathroom icons on it, but it gave you something that's fun to read.
And it's very true. That's way better than icons.
Yep, it's very exciting.
You're so right. You are correct.
Have an amazing class. Put us together. Who can stop us?
Of course not. All right. Yeah. So long story short, or short story is decorative, right? Short story. When we are thinking about this hierarchy of headings, we are going to consider what do we want persons to get first and make sure that we give it to them. All right, that's what we're going to do. And that's the simplest thing. You're going to make it very, very easy for persons to read what you want them to read in the way that you need it read. If you have a designer or someone working for you and they don't consider that, then it's your job to guide them. All right. Because not all information is necessary all the time. Like, imagine you got an event and you have 3 tiers. Do you need to show all 3 tiers at the beginning, or do you just go tier 1 when you launch? I don't know. But those are choices that you can make. If you have all 3 tiers, and they're literally on there, you could do tier 1 big enough that people could read it, and then you could go tier 1, tier 2 that are much smaller. I want you to know that there are other tiers, but you don't need to read what they are because they're not relevant right now. All right. So with that being said, we are done for today. What did we cover? All right. We started off with what is a stylescape, building out the stylescape. All right. We would have learned that with the stylescapes, you're going to be paying attention to your client, what they want to achieve, where they want to go, what they believe. You can rope in their backstory, all of that. But then you're going to present it visually so that you can agree. The stylescape is for your client to agree on the vibe based on the conversation that you guys had, right? So something visual that they can see, and then you can kind of take it from there. The stylescape works in tandem with the game plan, where you are tapping in specifically on what your client wants to achieve, but then you're going to use your expertise to help guide them onto their first step. That first step is going to be their A-type goal. From there, there are going to be other steps. Eventually, you're going to get to the B, and eventually you're going to get to the C. Your job is just to get them to the next step. So don't worry too much about C, right? It's going to be in mind as the end result, but your purpose is to get them to A first. Can't get to C before they do A. From there, we started to go into this world of visual, where we spoke about typefaces and fonts. We knew that there's a fundamental difference between the two. Typefaces are the main categories. Fonts are the subcategories. Typefaces are, if the world is footwear, typefaces are shoes, boots. Is a boot a shoe? I guess a boot is a shoe. Yeah, typefaces, shoes, or footwear. All the fonts would be the different types of things that you could put in there. Okay, and then we went into the hierarchy of headings, how those typefaces can work together to give information, and how you can use emphasis and readability in order to put across a message as quickly as possible. You're going to be organizing your information in a way that makes sense. This is what we did. And